During a fierce rainstorm in the Vietnamese jungle in 1968, two American servicemen find themselves separated from their unit. As the commanding soldier attempts radio communication for assistance, his companion suddenly vanishes into the foliage with a terrified scream. The leader fires wildly but strikes nothing. Panicked, he flees through the undergrowth, catching glimpses of movement in the vegetation. A prehistoric creature emerges, then fatally attacks him, and finally, he dies. The following day, at an American military installation, a local Vietnamese woman attempts to report that a feathered creature abducted her spouse, but the soldiers dismiss her claims. Military personnel have seized a transport vehicle containing mysterious cargo that registers hazardous radiation levels. Amid nearby explosions, a serviceman contacts Colonel Jericho regarding the captured truck and the disappeared patrol. Jericho assigns the Vulture Squad to conduct a search and recovery operation. The Vulture Squad infiltrates an opposition encampment, silently neutralizing sentries while their marksmen eliminate the watchtower guard. They launch a surprise assault, systematically eliminating resistance with sniper support. Among the captives, they discover 3 deceased American prisoners and 2 survivors confined in a cage. An enemy combatant emerges from concealment, but is swiftly dispatched by a sergeant wielding a machete. Extraction helicopters arrive, and the squad learns they've been selected for an immediate follow-up assignment. At base camp, where Americans maintain a caged tiger, Jericho briefs the Vulture Squad about the missing patrol and strange occurrences in the valley. Their objective involves reconnaissance and locating the missing personnel for helicopter extraction. Details remain classified. Privately, Jericho promises Baker, the Vulture Squad commander, that successful completion will result in removing certain allegations from his personnel file. Inside the main tent, Keyes confronts Stovall about his post-traumatic stress disorder, warning that his excessive noise during operations could prove fatal. Keyes secures Stovall's promise to seek treatment. As evening approaches, the squad departs by helicopter. The aircraft's systems malfunction, weapons fail, though flight remains stable. Upon landing near the jungle, they immediately discover an unusually large animal trail. They encounter oversized bird tracks and discover massive feathers matching the track dimensions. The discovered backpack contains a map marking Research Station 4 and a journal entry reading, "We are being hunted." Surrounding the backpack are numerous shell casings and 2 distinct track types. They decide to pursue the trail. Advancing deeper into the jungle, they notice movement and strange sounds in the vegetation. Something seizes Baker's leg, dragging him along the ground. He fires continuously until the unseen attacker releases him and retreats. His teammates administer first aid before continuing their mission. Meanwhile, a Russian military unit called the Dogs of War searches for the Americans, using a kidnapped guide named Conan. They find warm shell casings and follow the trail. Strange sounds accompany their advance. Then a prehistoric creature ambushes the rear soldier, and finally, he dies. Discovering the eviscerated corpse, the Russians blame the Americans. The vultures debate the existence of monsters, finding an enormous claw that makes them consider retreat. However, Baker spots remnants of a military uniform and insists they continue. Inside a cave, they discover the mutilated remains of a missing patrol, seemingly torn apart by a massive predator. A pack of feathered prehistoric creatures suddenly attacks, forcing the soldiers into cover while they fire frantically. During the chaotic battle, Baker and Vern separate from the group through a narrow passage, exiting the cave. Hearing threatening sounds, they scale vines to escape. A creature attempts to grab Baker, but he shoots it. The gunfire attracts more creatures, who are unable to jump high enough to reach them. They climb to the cave's summit. The remaining vultures also escape the cave, preparing for another attack when they hear rustling. They freeze as an enormous creature passes by. Baker and Vern stumble upon a clearing where a giant prehistoric beast sleeps, surrounded by skeletal remains. 3 juveniles emerge, alerting their parent. The pair flees, occasionally firing at the pursuing creature's face to slow it. They hide in vegetation, but the beast finds them anyway. At dawn, the other vultures ford a river and rest, concerned about their missing comrades, but unwilling to return to the dangerous cave. Sounds force them to continue moving. Baker and Vern tumble down a slope, still pursued by the massive creature. After extensive running, they conceal themselves behind a fallen log, with Baker deploying a grenade as a distraction. They race toward a cliff edge, leaping into water below. The creature falls with them. Baker pulls the unconscious Vern to shore as the beast swims away. A woman named Sophia approaches, assisting Baker with the unconscious Vern. She warns that their teammates likely perished and offers sanctuary at her laboratory. Both groups navigate through the jungle, encountering various prehistoric creatures of different sizes and colors, avoiding them when possible. Key's group eventually walks alongside large herbivores. Sophia leads Baker and Vern to Research Station 4, her home for over a year. Once a team of scientists worked there, but she alone survived. Inside the steel-reinforced concrete building, she barricades the entrance and injects herself with medication, alarming the soldiers who demand explanations. While Vern attempts radio contact, Sophia reveals that Russian General Borden eliminated everyone aware of this location, leaving her surviving alone. Borden has been constructing a collider device. When Vern establishes radio contact, Baker reports everything to Jericho, including the prehistoric creatures, demanding rescue for his remaining team members. He threatens to publicize what he's witnessed if Jericho refuses cooperation. Initially skeptical about the creature claims, Jericho orders an investigation into Borden's identity. Remembering a massive tooth recovered from the jungle, he begins reconsidering. The trio departs, hoping to reunite with the remaining team. The other vultures cross open terrain when gunfire erupts, wounding Keyes in the leg. The dogs have located them, initiating a firefight. Sophia's group hears the combat and follows the sounds. Both forces exchange fire from concealment without decisive results. Suddenly, massive flying prehistoric creatures appear overhead. Soldiers redirect fire toward these beasts while seeking cover. One creature lands before a Russian soldier, using its beak to expose his internal organs before the creatures gather to feed. The other soldiers exploit the distraction to escape. The vultures carry Keyes into the jungle, while the surviving Russians provide covering fire before rejoining Conan. At a safe distance, the vultures bandage Keyes' wound. Baker's group reunites with them, though they distrust Sophia due to her Russian nationality. Small prehistoric creatures emerge from vegetation, circling them and climbing trees. The soldiers fire continuously, killing numerous creatures, but more arrive. One beast kidnaps Keyes during the overwhelming attack. After being dragged, Keyes finds himself surrounded by creatures near a tree. He defends himself with a branch, but a creature leaps from above. Keyes pushes it away and stands defiantly. The creatures flee when a large predator approaches. The beast repeatedly strikes and shakes Keyes, inflicting severe injuries. Hearing his teammates approaching, Keyes stabs the creature's neck with his knife. The animal's cry brings the vultures, who open fire. The wounded creature retreats, and the team attends to Keyes' injuries. Sophia suggests abandoning him, but Baker refuses. By evening, the group reaches Sophia's facility, placing Keyes on a table for pain medication injections. Baker follows Sophia after noticing her sneaking away, discovering her addiction as she injects herself. She explains the creatures resulted from an accident that could have been prevented. Her husband was a nuclear scientist. She's a paleontologist. The Russian military stationed them in the jungle for dangerous collider research, supposedly creating a wormhole for invading the USA. However, Borden cut corners. The malfunctioning collider opened a temporal portal, allowing prehistoric creatures into the present. Afterward, Russian soldiers eliminated the entire research team except Sophia, who was absent during the attack. Borden abandoned this laboratory, now constructing another collider in the mountains. That night, soldiers observe a creature near the building, initially withholding fire to avoid detection. When the creature finds a window, it's forced to shoot its head. The commotion attracts more creatures, prompting the vultures to position themselves at windows, firing continuously for several minutes until the beasts withdraw. Something pounds the door. They shoot at it, causing the creature to return to the window instead. Concentrated fire on this creature allows a second to burst through the door. The vultures collectively force the beast back and secure the door. Another creature climbs onto the glass roof, breaking through with its head. They fire at it too, but cannot manage all creatures simultaneously. Sophia mentions a rear exit leading to the docks, but Keyes knows he cannot survive, requesting they leave without him. Stovall shares a final cigarette before fleeing with the others. When creatures finally penetrate the building, Keyes activates 2 grenades. At the docks, the others witness the explosion, mourning their friend before boarding a boat. The next morning, the boat continues upriver. Baker informs his team about the second collider, and they agree to destroy it. Sophia attempts a warning but loses consciousness for withdrawal. Upon waking, she explains that bombing the collider would destroy the world. They must deactivate it instead. While soldiers observe nearby creatures, Sophia attempts to steal another injection. During the struggle to stop her, they drop the syringe, which a creature catches after leaping from the water. Baker reprimands Sophia, offering cigarettes to manage her withdrawal. Stovall watches the aquatic creature reach shore and feed on smaller creatures, but the others prevent him from shooting. Stovall then considers to do the unthinkable, but Baker intervenes, emphasizing they need him. After hours of sailing, they reach a fog-shrouded area. Upon landing, they discover numerous human corpses. Moving cautiously through fog-obscured jungle, they're ambushed by small prehistoric creatures. Chaos erupts as soldiers defend themselves with firearms, knives, and bare hands. Witnessing his friend's injuries, Stovall loses his composure, screaming while shooting at all creatures. He runs ahead, drawing them away, stopping at the river to continue firing at approaching monsters. With one bullet remaining, he laughs while hearing Key's voice mentally. He uses the final bullet on himself. And finally, creatures gather around Stovall's body to feed. That night, the team reaches the Russian installation. Baker contacts Jericho, sharing the coordinates. Jericho declares it a national security site, prohibiting damage or approach. Baker feigns a poor reception, pretending to understand authorization to proceed, requesting rescue helicopters before disconnecting. The vultures formulate a plan and execute it, sneaking along perimeter walls, silently eliminating guards, decapitating when necessary. While most vultures continue eliminating Russians, Sophia and Baker discreetly approach the central area. They discover the surviving dogs have returned. Conan harbors resentment toward Borden for allowing creatures to overrun her homeland. After their experiences, the dogs also oppose Borden, nearly opening fire before other soldiers remove them. While vultures plant explosives throughout the camp, Sophia and Baker neutralize two guards to release the dogs, who hear the plan and agree to assist. Russian soldiers spot an approaching juvenile creature and shoot it. Borden reprimands them before they understand why. The juvenile's parents roar furiously upon seeing the corpse. The enraged beasts charge toward the installation, destroying everything, killing soldiers who fail to stop them. They consume some personnel while using their tails and massive feet to crush surroundings and vehicles. Soldiers abandon fighting and flee. The creatures catch them in enormous jaws, tossing their bodies playfully. Borden flees into a building. Baker's group attempts pursuit, but creatures obstruct them. They seek cover, waiting for an opportunity to enter. During the chaos, Conan recognizes Vulture Miller as someone who killed her family. She attacks him, initiating vicious combat, but both hide beneath a vehicle when a creature approaches. As the beast destroys tanks, Miller fights Conan beneath the truck until pushing her away. Attempting escape, Conan attacks again, stabbing him. Miller begs forgiveness, expressing wartime regret, then activates the explosives. The massive explosion kills both Miller and Conan, frightening away creatures. Inside the building, Baker's group reaches a laboratory, killing a scientist who attempts intervention. Other scientists remain passive while Sophia begins deactivating the collider. The remaining vultures join them, but Borden interrupts, drawing a weapon. Baker shoots him first. Sophia spits on him but refuses to kill him, choosing moral superiority. She cuts a cable, causing a building-wide power failure. Emergency generator restores lighting. They notice Borden's disappearance. Suddenly, numerous creatures appear on the base, feeding on corpses. They block the exit tunnel too. The vultures throw smoke grenades to slow them and open fire. Unfortunately, overwhelming numbers mean creatures soon enter the laboratory, destroying everything. One dog is knocked down and quickly killed. Borden attempts to use the control panel, but he gets attacked by a creature, and finally, he dies. The others deploy an explosive and retreat. A vulture remains behind, continuing fire, dying in the explosion to prevent pursuit. Sophia guides survivors to a rear exit, and they sprint as several creatures still pursue. They capture one vulture. His friends want rescue, but it's too late. The man is devoured, forcing others to flee. Soon, they find a ladder. Baker sends him up while providing cover below. He runs ahead with beasts pursuing, throwing grenades behind himself. This proves insufficient. Monsters overwhelm, then kill him too, and finally he dies. The remaining group sees creatures coming after eliminating Baker, but they reach outside quickly enough. Jericho awaits with helicopters and a full contingent. Seeing approaching beasts, they collectively open fire. Helicopters provide aerial support, eliminating flying creatures joining the battle. Many soldiers perish in the struggle, but the team survives long enough. When a vulture's explosives collapse the base, everyone rushes to the helicopters, finally escaping. Primitive War movie ends with Jericho criticizes the team for destroying the machine rather than acquiring it for American use. Sophia indicates it's too late. Destroying the collider has already caused creatures to appear beyond the jungle. And finally, it potentially has catastrophic global consequences. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps.